Are there different dialects in Utah? Everyone loves maps, at least I do, so I assume everyone else does too. So consider this lovely dialect map of the U.S. It nicely divides the lower 48 states into 7 dialects. But in many ways, maps like that aren't accurate for a number of reasons. First of all, different linguists make different dialect boundaries. This is usually because they choose different dialect features to base their dialect divisions on. Another problem is that maps make you think in binary terms. For example, there are 2 pronunciations of the word oily, greasy and greasy. Now if you put a line on a map to divide the two, it makes it seem like everyone on one side says greasy, and once you step to the other side, now 100% of the people say greasy and no one says greasy. This just isn't the way it works. Human behavior is always gradient, not binary. Another problem is that even within a single dialect area, there are many subdialects. I lived in the South in a number of places, and Southerners were really good at being able to tell who is from Mississippi compared to North Carolina, for example. Even if you narrow it down to speakers from a single city, not everyone talks the same. Linguists love to study how things like a person's age, gender, ethnicity, and social class affect how that person speaks. Anyway, let's go back to this dialect map. If you look at the West, it gives you the impression that there's some kind of dialect unity. You just don't find any dialect divisions there. So, just for fun, here's a dialect map of Great Britain, which contains tons of different dialects. Now, what if we overlay Britain on the Intermountain West? Holy moly. Just so that you know, that's pretty much to scale. If there was much dialect diversity in Utah as in Britain, the state would look more like a jigsaw puzzle. Which brings me to the point of this episode. What are the dialect divisions in Utah? Now, I'm positive that if you ask someone from Cache County, for example, where in Utah people have an accent, they may tell you, it's those people from southern Utah. Southern Utahns, on the other hand, may completely disagree. It's those people from San Pete County that talk funny. Okay, all that aside, a number of divisions have been proposed in the state. Diane Lilly suggested a nice 3-way split. And for my part, I suggested dividing the Wasatch Front, whose boundaries I really wasn't sure of, with the rest of the state. But who's right? Well, the truth is, both divisions are just kind of best guesses. What we really need to make good, objective divisions are 2 things: data from each county and a method for clustering areas that are similar. Well, in 2020, Utahns from all counties responded to a dialect survey that I sent out. It asked questions like, what do you call carbonated beverages? Soda, pop, Coke? Other questions asked people to match their pronunciation of words with other words. For example, they could match the vowel in bull with either the vowel in look, luke, lock, luck, or bloke. Now, this resulted in 118 responses to questions that I used to cluster counties together. I used computer algorithms known as k-means and hierarchical clustering dendrograms to group results from counties based on their similarities. So, how many dialect areas did the computer algorithms come up with? Just 2. I know what you're thinking. What the heck, are you kidding me? This division really boils down to rural areas in white and urban areas in gray. To make this more clear, I've highlighted the population centers in the state by population. Now, the groupings were done by county. Some counties that fall in the urban dialect group aren't particularly highly populated, but what you see is that the most populated areas of those counties fall close to the Wasatch Front that runs from Cache County in the north to Utah County in the south. As an example, consider Brigham City in Box Elder County, or Tooele County. Yes, that's how it's pronounced, Tooele. The great majority of Juab County's population resides in Nephi, which is only a 19-mile freeway trip from Santaquin in Utah County. Some people actually consider Nephi part of the Wasatch Front. The county seat of Wasatch County is Heber City, with a small but growing population of 15,000, but it's only 28 miles from Provo in populated Utah County. Now, although Summit County was designated as rural, I wish my survey asked people what city they were from, but my guess, this isn't what the computers came up with, but my guess is that Park City is an outlier in Summit County that fits with the urban dialect zone. But what about those far-flung southern counties, Iron and Washington? Well, Washington County has the largest population outside of the Wasatch Front and is a boomtown. As far as Iron County is concerned, the bulk of its population resides in Cedar City, a college town on the I-15 corridor. Now, if you don't like this division, and you can come up with a dozen reasons why it doesn't make sense, don't blame me. I let the computers make the decision. Okay, I'm going to do some speculation of my own, though. See, I only got data by county, but the fact that dialect divisions align with populations makes me want to subdivide the counties according to population. And when I do that, I come up with this modified 2-dialect map of Utah. This is my best shot at dividing the urban and rural dialects of the state. The question that I know you're now asking is how the 2 dialect areas differ. As I answer this, keep in mind the fact that differences are a matter of degree, not black and white. The single biggest difference has to do with the term for carbonated beverages, pop versus soda. Pop was a traditional term in this state and is heard more in the conservative rural areas, while soda is more common in the urban dialect where it appears to have ousted pop. Now, these words are generally pronounced measure, treasure, and pleasure in Utah, but in rural areas there is a slightly greater propensity to be pronounced measure, treasure, and pleasure, especially among older residents. Is the L in STALK pronounced or not? Well, in rural Utah it tends to be pronounced with an L, stalk, a bit more than urban areas. How about the vowel in this name? Most urban Utahns pronounce Laura, while rural Utahns favor Lara a little bit more. Now, vowels before L sounds are slipping all over the place, not just in Utah. One of the places they slip is for pool and pull to sound similar, hence the swimming pull. Now, many Utahns pronounce pool and pull with the same vowel, but saying P-O-O-L as pull is a bit more prevalent in rural parts of the state. So, there you have it. There are essentially 2 dialects in Utah, urban and rural. So if you're keen on investigating more interesting facts about the Beehive State, check out my book, Utahisms, which will come out in the summer of 2022.